Hello. The Slavophile tradition of philosophical thought has really impacted my reading of Popper quite a bit. First of all, the Slavophile tradition, what was it? It's a post-Kantian tradition in Russian philosophical thought, largely drawing on responding to the works of Hegel and Schelling, the German idealists. Basically, the name is deceptive. It has nothing to do with Slavs. It's basically about reconfiguring the relationship between faith and reason in a way that returns to the patristic or early church tradition. Um, and what that effectively means is that reason is not understood as being something that stands in opposition to faith, but rather the full realization of reason, the full development of reason, is seen as standing in relationship to the principle of faith as being both its beginning and its final culmination. So, in that sense, there is no conflict between reason's rationality, science, and uh, and faith. So it managed to overcome that dualism between faith and reason that's characteristic of the Western philosophical tradition, and I think that's interesting. And I think that Popper's thought can be read in that light, and I think that's affected my reading of Popper quite a bit. I mean, where Popper talks on page, or writes on page 8 of the Logic of Scientific Discovery about the unknown logic of discovery, that's really something that we get at only through Einfühlung or intellectual love. I mean, for me, that's kind of uh, there's there's something about that kind of resonates to the idea of the inner movement of reason, the kind of that aspect of the inner development, the inner workings of reason, the high, the sort of the high the high principle of reason that's not reducible to say external abstract logical relations between ideas. That there is a kind of a high development, and Popper himself refers to this higher development, the idea that sort of there's an inner nature of reason, inner activity, and I think that's the point. The inner activity, that's part of in Popper, the unknown logic of discovery. So even though he writes this book titled Logic of Scientific Discovery, it's really he really understands that there is no knowable logic of discovery. There is an unknown, there is a mysterious element to that, a faith-based element, an inner power, kind of inner development, that can't be reduced to abstract logical thinking, and external formalization. So I think in that sense, yeah, that's my attempt to sort of justify my reading. It could be a result of my own cultural background, why I read Popper in such a way. But I think, well, have a look at Popper's Logic of Scientific Discovery, the early part of it, from pages about 7 to 9, and see what you think. Whether my reading is outrageous as what many may think it is. It's definitely not a reading from the Western sort of Anglo-analytic philosophical tradition, nor is it necessarily a reading from the more European continental tradition. It's more of more, well, it's actually further east actually. But in that sense, that it provides an external view from which I think has helped me to be able to see the way Popper stands in relation to both the analytic and continental philosophical traditions. So in that sense, while Popper said back to the pre-Socratics and back to Kant, I say back to the Slavophiles.